The protagonist recounts how, in the spring of his senior year, something completely unexpected happened. He got a girlfriend. Out of nowhere, the stunning girl with silver hair approaches Numamoto Yoshimi and casually asks, "Will you marry me?" Thus begins another classic romantic comedy, starring a socially awkward boy and a dazzling, irresistibly charming girl who turns his quiet life upside down. Let's rewind a bit to the days when school feels like a harsh version of the real world, complete with a social ladder. Yoshimi believes that he's definitely stuck at the bottom. He's got fewer friends than a cactus in Antarctica, zero luck with girls, and has no clue about romance. Every time he sees one of those picture-perfect couples at the top, he can't help but feel jealous, hoping to get a gorgeous girlfriend outside of a video game. At present, he's chilling in a cafe with this amazing girl and rocking a ring on his finger. He's still in shock, trying to wrap his head around how this crazy situation came to be, and wondering if it's normal to give an engagement ring to someone you barely know. And get this, the girl is genuinely stunning, a total knockout sitting right across from him, and he's completely blown away by her vibe. She introduces herself as Mitsuboshi Hikaru. They're both first-year students at the same school. She noticed him the other day, and it was like instant chemistry. Next thing he knows, she's inviting him to get married. Just when he's trying to process all of this, another girl jumps in out of nowhere, totally surprising him, and then she quickly apologizes for crashing their party. She introduces herself as Shijimori, Hikaru's assistant. She even hands him a profile about Hikaru to help him get to know her better. Famous people usually work in entertainment, while powerful people are in government. On the flip side, her parents run Mitsubishi Corporation, one of the biggest companies in Japan. He thinks she has it all: status, reputation, wealth, and she's got this huge social standing. She tells him she misses him, and suggests they should register for marriage when they turn 18. But he lacks confidence in himself. She keeps telling him that he's truly amazing in her eyes, and that she's never met anyone as great as him. Meanwhile, he's just trying to figure out how a 16-year-old can think so clearly. He thinks that the more he enjoys her amazing vibe, the brighter she looks to him. He's starting to see that she's not just stunning, she's at the top of her game. She's full of confidence, which is the complete opposite of him. But he can't shake off those weird feelings about her rushed marriage proposal. It's kind of intimidating how self-assured she is. He wonders if she's really serious about all this and if these rings are proof she's not just playing around. She tells him the ring is customized just for him, but he's still freaked out because this type of ring isn't usually meant for guys. She assures him that it's one of a kind and that it suits him perfectly. He pops the ring out, knowing he needs to say something, and ends up having to turn it down. He tells her he can't accept it while she just sits there, totally speechless. She looks a bit confused, thinking maybe it's just the ring size that's the issue, which totally freaks him out because he really means he doesn't want the ring at all. He starts to explain that the truth is, he's still trying to wrap his head around that whole proposal thing. Since he hasn't really experienced real romance before, he asks for some time to think it over. But then she jumps in, asking if he's saying no to her. There's this awkward silence, but he quickly clears it up, telling her she's an incredible person, and he doesn't really know much about her yet. He muses that no matter how confident she acts, getting rejected might actually make her tear up. She goes on to say that he really fascinates her, which totally catches him off guard for a second. Then she admits that this unexpected rejection only makes her more intrigued. She snaps her fingers, asking how long he's going to keep being stubborn. That little move brings over a bunch of minions and some cops, surrounding him unexpectedly. This really surprises her. She casually mentions she has connections everywhere. If she wants, she could call on the whole country to back her up, which seriously freaks him out since it could really annoy everyone. She asks the crowd if she has their attention. He can't shake the feeling that the country is already bending to her will. His heart is about to give out. Meanwhile, she's out here announcing to everyone that her boyfriend is shaking from trying to hold back his huge love for her. Her crew starts hyping her up, and it just makes her even more giddy. They're saying no guy could ever resist someone as stunning and brainy as she is. They even claim they can see he's just itching to say yes to her proposal and looks happier than ever about getting engaged. But honestly, there's no way his face screams excitement for getting engaged. The minions just keep pushing him like she's picking them for the ultimate romance mission. Her confidence goes through the roof, and it honestly feels like it comes from her power over everyone. The stage is all set, and while he's feeling a bit down about the way adults are being played, she hits him with a surprise, asking him to marry her. He tries to keep it cool, telling her that the ring won't feel right in his hand because they're too different. He apologizes, but on the flip side, with the cops and all those high-ranking guys breathing down his neck, he starts to sweat bullets behind a grin. Caught off guard, he asks if he can have an hour or two to think it over. After all, everything is happening way too fast. He takes the ring with him, half expecting it to disappear the moment he gets home, like something out of a dream. But it doesn't vanish. It's still there, solid and real, proof that this strange, surreal moment happened. He never thought some amazing girl would want to marry an average dude like him. Out of nowhere, she shows up outside his house, yelling for him to marry her. She claims she's his own Hikaru, but he rushes over to tell her that she doesn't belong to him. And it's the same for him too. He rushes outside, flustered, muttering that "marry me" isn't exactly a casual greeting, and wonders what the neighbors must be thinking. She ignores his panic and cheerfully waves at them. Surprised, he asks how she even found his place. She laughs and casually says the cops gave her his address when she asked. She brings up marriage again, but he's barely had an hour to think. As he looks at her, he can't deny how stunning she is, and part of him wants to say yes just for that. Still, he tells her he can't decide yet and asks her to leave. She keeps pushing, saying she'll come back in an hour, but that's still too soon since his parents will be back any minute, and it could get awkward if they see her. Just then, his parents show up. Hikaru gets super excited to see them and introduces herself, asking for their blessing on the marriage. His mom looks confused, trying to process that her son might actually be marrying someone as stunning as Hikaru, and she confirms it. Mom says the only good thing about him is that he seems harmless enough to marry on a whim. She snaps at him, asking if he got someone's daughter pregnant, but he tries to explain that he hasn't even held her hand yet. Yoshimi's mom wonders why he'd marry such a beautiful girl unless there's no other reason than a baby on the way. Hikaru is also on board with having a kid. Then his mom asks if he has anything to say because getting married is a serious matter. She mentions her own regrets, which feels like a bit of a dig at his dad. Our poor boy has no idea what to make of Hikaru, or even if he likes her at all. Hikaru, meanwhile, is full of confidence. As far as she's concerned, if he doesn't like her yet, she'll just make him fall for her. That level of confidence is a bit freaky, and it's clear she doesn't take no for an answer. She insists that no matter how much he tries to play it cool, she can sense he's secretly into her. She points out that he still has the ring she gave him, but honestly, he doesn't want to lose it before he gets a chance to return it. She sees it as proof that he's really taken care of it, but he's just trying to clear the air. Her mom asks if he got a ring, but he's not into the idea of keeping it. He offers to give it back, which makes her stop and think for a second. She calls him a busy guy, going back and forth for the ring. Then she starts to wonder if he's just trying to play hard to get and realizes he can be pretty stubborn. She mentions that if he isn't going to be straight with her, she'll just use her charm to get him to spill the truth. Shijimori jumps in and calls out to his parents. They find out that Mitsubishi Corporation is actually the big boss behind their company. Mom's eyes light up right away, while Yoshimi looks totally confused. They notice Hikaru's impressive vibe, thinking she's way too talented not to be recognized. They want to know how they can say thanks for such an amazing ring. Yoshimi's mom encourages him to just start crushing on Hikaru, saying marriage isn't worth stressing over. His face lights up, clearly flustered. She points out he's blushing despite trying to play it cool, while his dad adds that no one could possibly resist a girl like Hikaru. A few days later at school, Yoshimi's telling his buddy Yoshida about this crazy thing that happened, how he got ambushed by a super popular girl. Yoshida thinks he might have bumped his head or something, like he's been reading too much manga. At first he thought it was just a dream, but he's still got the ring to prove it. Then, out of nowhere, someone jumps on stage. It's Hikaru. She announces to everyone that she's proposing to Yoshimi. The crowd starts buzzing, wondering who the heck she is. Turns out she goes to the school and is actually from Kiriboshi Academy, which is a school for the wealthy. Our poor dude just snaps back, wondering why she's got to embarrass him in front of everyone at the school assembly. She's there for his answer to her proposal, but he really doesn't want to spill the beans in front of all those people. Then, all of a sudden, the spotlight shifts to him, and it's like he's never had this much attention in his whole life. He sprints like mad, wondering if this is a nightmare and if he's in way over his head. On his way out, some teachers block his path, catching him off guard as they tell him to listen up. One of them explains that their jobs and benefits rely on what he does, all thanks to Hikaru's influence. Just then, Hikaru arrives with her assistant. She says she appreciates him running away. At least it means he's shy, not dishonest. But he snaps back, "I am being honest." Our boy, being a chap, calls her out for crashing the school assembly and using her power to meddle and even threaten the teachers. He tells her it's not cool and asks why she's really there. She says she just wanted to meet him, that's it. He replies that he might have been open to it if she just asked. She brings up that she never got a response to her proposal, so she went to his house, but his parents didn't respond. Our lad knows the reason. But he hits her with some real talk, saying people aren't going to want to meet her as she's popping up every hour. One of the teachers gets visibly upset and steps in, suggesting that he might just be confused by the sudden proposal, and that maybe he should consider dating first. She even tells him that he might notice his grades improving naturally. She mentions that if he agrees, she might be more open to bumping up his grades. It's definitely tempting, but he still declines. He admits he hasn't made up his mind yet, and it would be on him if he just bailed. He opens up about how he can't stay calm with all these adults around and the pressure hitting him. Hikaru totally understands and offers him some alone time with her if he needs it. She tells her assistant to clear out the crowd, and soon it's just him and her. After a bit of silence, he finally speaks up, telling her he thinks she's amazing and really pretty, but then he drops the truth that the gap between them feels too big. He goes on to apologize and says he can't marry her right now. When she asks why, he explains he just wants to have a normal high school experience. Getting married now might lead to some tough times for her since most high schoolers aren't tying the knot so soon. He thinks they should get to know each other first to have a real relationship, maybe hold hands, and see where things go from there. He adds that down the line, he'd like to seriously consider marriage when the time is right. That's some wise advice from a guy, and it instantly brightens her up. She also admits she's gone a bit overboard and stressed him out, but she promises not to let him deal with any tough times. He notices there's a big gap between them, and there could be some serious hurdles in their path. A lot of people might try to get in the way, but she reassures him that she'll always have his back and keep him safe. No matter what happens, she's totally set on giving her all to keep him from feeling sad. So she decides she's going to transfer to the school, which just leaves him even more confused, wondering if she's actually hearing him out. Then the scene transitions to 3 girls who find out that Hikaru is transferring to another school. They think it's super sudden and start chatting about whether they should ask her what's up. They suspect it might be about a guy, but can't believe something like this actually happened to someone like Hikaru, who could get anyone to fall for her. Now they're curious about this dude, wondering who the lucky guy is that made her go for him and what makes him so special. They're the K4, the rising stars of Kiriboshi Academy, and they've decided to dig into this mystery. The next day at Yoshimi's school, all the guards are lined up when Hikaru walks in, announcing that she's transferred and will be in their care from now on. Yoshimi is completely confused by the bodyguard's situation, and when the teacher asks where she'd like to sit, Hikaru casually claims the seat right next to him. He's not thrilled about her picking her own seat like that. She insists it's super important for them to always be together so they can experience normal high school life, but he's trying to get through to her as she really doesn't get what normal means in a high school setting. The students start chattering about why a girl from Kiriboshi is here and if she seriously proposed. My boy, crippled from social anxiety, thinks his presence has become troublesome for others. He thinks she really stands out, and if she keeps acting this way, their social difference might just grow. Suddenly, the K4 jumps in, saying that the whole situation is pretty funny. The idea that Hikaru transferred just for a guy cracks them up. Everyone else is surprised by this, and Hikaru quickly introduces them as K4. Together, they make up the 4 most eye-catching students at Kiriboshi Academy. One of them is Hanabishi Tawa, a celebrity from a morning show. Then there's Enjuji Tamao, the granddaughter of a former prime minister. And let's not forget Daoshin Narumi, the heiress of a big construction company that's behind most of Japan's tourist spots. The other students start whispering, thinking it's just gossip about them hanging out. Meanwhile, our boy is totally losing it, trying to keep a cool smile on his face. Hikaru casually drops that they've been friends since elementary school. Now she thinks they should probably come up with a team name or something. Meanwhile, the guy in the group is just feeling stuck and isn't a fan of how full of themselves everyone seems. Tamao then calls her out about their tight friendship, asking if maybe Hikaru's been too busy with her boyfriend to hang out with them. Hikaru realizes Tamao already knew all this, and she throws in that her family has a bit of a gossip network going on. Hikaru apologizes, saying she got lost in thought. Then she hits them with the news that she's actually getting married, leaving the K4 chicks totally shocked. Hikaru keeps saying she's actually getting married, but Tamao is still trying to wrap her head around it. Our lad hasn't really figured it out either. The K4 girls can't believe that she not only fell in love but is actually engaged. They urge her to explain. Hikaru starts sharing that they just promised to get married. But there's still a big social gap, so before thinking about the real deal, he needs to grow as a guy. She's totally blushing because Yoshimi just wants to have a normal high school relationship with her. She can't help but giggle and turn red at the thought of holding hands. Then she brings up how he told her he wanted to do cute stuff like that too. She's so caught up in her feelings, saying there's no way she can share all this with her friends because it might be super embarrassing. Right after, the K4 girls go straight to our boy, asking if he wants to do anything serious before marriage. They're already calling him a playboy. As the K4 listens to Hikaru's marriage proposal, they can't help but think she's completely lost it. They remind her that she's the only daughter of the Mitsubishi Enterprise, and now she's seriously talking about dating someone way below her level. Yoshimi walks over, and Tamao casually tells him she's thirsty and asks him to grab her some water. He immediately senses they're treating him like someone beneath them. Hikaru jumps in and tells Tamao to back off, saying Yoshimi-sama isn't some second-rate dude. But Tamao fires back and says that no matter how it is seen, he still comes off like a second-class citizen. She compares him to someone who should just be fetching water for everyone. Hikaru insists he does it because he's thoughtful. As Yoshimi mumbles to himself, Tamao turns to him and asks if he really thinks he has any chance of marrying Hikaru. Yoshimi freezes and Tamao keeps going, saying they've been with Hikaru since they were kids, and a plain guy like him has no business dating her. She calls him a clueless four eyes and throws insults like they're jokes. Then she grabs a camera and looks at him through the lens, casually wondering how he looks in photos. The other girls join in, making things worse. One jokes they'd look like a moon and a turtle, while another says she can't believe someone like him could make Hikaru fall for him, accusing him of hiding something behind that proposal. They all agree he must have some shady agenda if he's after their friend. Yoshimi, a bit taken aback by it all, insists it's just a misunderstanding. They laugh at him, claiming they've figured him out, pointing out the huge gap between them and questioning if he even knows his place. One of them says he's either really brave or maybe just too brave for his own good. But Yoshimi stays chill because he gets what they're implying and doesn't need the lecture. Before anyone else can chime in, Hikaru sets the record straight. She's the one who proposed and that she's got feelings for him. Her friends look totally shocked. Hikaru then reveals that she even gave him an engagement ring. Tamao was totally speechless, shocked that a high schooler would go to such lengths. It all feels like some kind of game to her, but Hikaru stands her ground. She insists her feelings are real and everything she feels is wrapped up in that 100 million yen ring. Everyone around them is just stunned by the amount. Flustered, the guy immediately pulls out the ring and says he needs to return something so valuable right away. But Hikaru gently says no, not wanting to repeat herself. She thinks he's being too humble and argues that the ring is just her way of expressing her feelings. She encourages him not to feel awkward about it anymore. All she wants to hear, she claims, is how happy he is. Our hero notices how confidently she talks, as if she's not even hearing him. Meanwhile, the girls watching start to question if things are getting out of hand, but Hikaru stays firm, calling all her actions proof of how serious she is. Hikaru gets emotional and points out that her friends aren't acting like true friends because they should support each other. She reminds Tama that they've always backed her family's political stuff. Then she turns to Tawa, recalling how they helped during her media mess and put a gag order in place. Finally, she tells Narumi that they gave the Doshin group chances to jump on big projects. She then brings up that maybe they've all forgotten the academy is run by the Mitsubishi conglomerate. That hits hard, and suddenly the girls are quiet. He starts to wonder if these girls were really ever Hikaru's friends in the first place. Tamao, now shaken, mutters that she finally gets it. Looking closer, she admits he might not be as impressive as she thought. But that doesn't mean she has to like him either. Then the girls switch up their tone, sounding soft and childlike as they say he's not weak. One even quivers while calling his kindness limitless. Another mentions he might shine even brighter than they do someday. It's clear that Hikaru is the one at the top of their group. She speaks to the group calmly, almost too elegantly, saying she hopes everyone realizes that putting down Yoshimi-sama is the same as putting her down. She warns them that if she sees any more behavior meant to discourage or belittle him, their standing in society will disappear without a trace. She delivers it so beautifully that our hero is taken aback. Words like that shouldn't sound so nice, but somehow they do. Then Hikaru turns to Tamao with a playful smile, asking if Yoshimi-sama's glasses aren't just amazing. Tamao, flustered, still can't bring herself to genuinely praise him. That's when he realizes these girls are really just friends in name only. Out of nowhere, the K4 reluctantly apologizes. They bow deeply in front of our guy and say they're sorry for saying such thoughtless stuff about him. Being the nice guy he is, he quickly brushes it off and tells them they don't need to go all out. He even adds that he's just a regular, unremarkable dude. Tamao can't help but say 4 eyes, but she quickly corrects herself to Yoshimi-sama, who's actually pretty awesome. Right after that, Hikaru beams and announces she's glad everyone finally gets it. Meanwhile, our hero thinks that if anyone needs to understand something, it's probably her. As the girls sprint off totally embarrassed, he can't help but think about how they treated him like garbage just moments ago, and now they're bowing like they're meeting royalty. He still doesn't get the world Hikaru comes from, but it's obvious that she's something special. Heading to class, he remembers it's PE time, which he ranks somewhere between taking a nap and going to the dentist. On the field, Hikaru steals the spotlight again. Compliments rain down on her, and surprisingly, a few even come his way. Shijimori grabs a lock of her shiny hair and gushes how stunning she looks, even in a basic jersey. He's honestly impressed. Hikaru isn't just good at everything else. She's also a superstar at sports. Meanwhile, he feels the reminder of his own averageness hitting hard. As the ball zips toward her, Hikaru effortlessly passes it to her teammate, and our guy thinks this crazy game of dodgeball could go on forever. The dude next to him, clearly having a blast, mentions how intense it is. Curious, our guy turns to him and asks if he thinks so too, and says Mitsubishi-san is pretty amazing, right? But Yoshida shakes his head and says he is actually talking about Yoshimi-kun. He proudly adds that he has been right beside him the whole time and still has not gotten hit once. But of course, the universe, not wanting overconfidence to slide, sends a dodgeball zooming right into Yoshida's face. He takes the hit like a statue, not even flinching. The scene shifts to a bunch of excited students cheering and calling out to Yoshimi-san with cheerful greetings. A couple of girls encourage our guy again. He can't help but think that until now, nobody really paid attention to him, and now, thanks to her, he's suddenly in the spotlight. Being with Hikaru makes him feel like he's king of the school. The effect of being with Mitsubishi Hikaru is unreal. Just then, Hikaru strolls over and asks why he's hiding in the corner. He admits everything is changing so quickly that it's starting to freak him out. She tells him not to worry and offers to have her bodyguards keep him company if he feels uneasy. He freaks out and tells her to stop with the flashy stuff. She just nods and sweetly calls out that everyone heard what Yoshimi-sama said. He can't help but think about how she always manages to interpret things in a way that suits her. Even in this relationship, she treats him like he's the one in charge. He asks her why she's doing all this for someone like him. With a warm look and a sparkle in her eyes, she replies that it's because she wants to marry him. Our guy just freezes, completely stunned. He mumbles that he's not exactly the tallest or most impressive guy. She smiles and says she doesn't care about that. He tries again, saying his grades are nothing special, and he's only average at sports. His voice starts to shake, and he feels emotional. But she gently reminds him that earlier in PE he was full of energy. That, she says, is the Mitsubishi effect. Finally, it clicks for him. She tells him he doesn't need to be so modest. For her, he's her destined partner. He takes a deep breath and says he's got a question. Her face lights up, and she tells him he can ask as many questions as he wants. He states he only needs one, then pulls out a ring and asks why she picked him. The question is loaded with doubt. He doesn't expect much. Maybe she'll dodge it or give an answer that sounds too good to be true. But then she gets emotional. Her eyes light up as she looks at him and says something unexpected. What stuck with her most was how great he looked from behind. He's stunned, wondering if that's really her reason. She nods softly, reminding him of their first day of school. She remembers seeing him walking with his parents at a nearby park. It was a moment that seemed totally normal to him, but it lingered in her mind. He is left speechless, trying to wrap his head around it. He wonders if that really was all it took, just a casual glance. He starts to think that maybe people like her see the world differently. What feels ordinary to him might seem extraordinary to her. With shaky hands, he pulls out the ring. It's worth a whopping 100 million yen, and he tells her he has to give it back. He can't hold on to something like that anymore. She looks shocked, ready to say something, but before she can get a word out, he continues. He tells her she's beautiful and has everything going for her. Someone like her could easily see someone like him as different. And that's okay, he thinks, because she's got enough confidence to embrace the unknown. But he believes what she likes isn't really him. Surely it's the idea of liking someone so far removed from her world that captures her interest. She's at a loss for words. The confusion on her face says it all. Then he drops the bomb. He's sorry, but he can't marry her. That one sentence stops everything in its tracks. Her world feels like it's frozen. Shijimori tries to chime in, saying she's not used to rejection, but he doesn't even look back. He just walks away quietly, leaving her standing there. She doesn't move, doesn't say a thing. Shijimori comes closer and gently asks if she's okay. At a distance, he pauses. Part of him feels relieved. Getting those words out has lifted a weight off his chest. But there's also a nagging regret that sticks with him. He's not even sure if he really likes who he is. Maybe that means he's not ready for the kind of uncertain love she's offering. He mutters to himself that he's messed up and that a moment like this won't come around again. Suddenly, Hikaru bolts away, snatching up a nearby bike and pedaling off without a second thought. A shocked student shouts that she took his bike, while someone else chips in that she asked to borrow it politely. Yoshimi watches, confused, wondering if she's just trying to escape the awkwardness of rejection. Yoshida mentions she even handed him a check for 100,000 yen for a bike that only costs 40,000. His friends joke that he actually made a profit from it. Yoshimi realizes this is just typical of her fancy upbringing. Then Shijimori steps up and drops a bombshell. Since she was born, she's always had a private car and has never ridden a bike before. That blows Yoshimi's mind. He quickly asks if that means she's in real danger on the road. Shijimori coolly reassures him, saying there are snipers on standby around Hikaru with orders to shoot if anything goes wrong. That shocks Yoshimi even more. He insists they should get the pedestrians out of the way first. Now he's really worried. If something bad happens, it'll all be his fault. He urges the secretary to go after her. As they take off running, the secretary realizes they're not even catching up to her because Yoshimi is just too slow. He admits he's not athletic and has never ridden a bike either. To top it off, he's still in his indoor shoes. Meanwhile, Hikaru rides her bike, wobbling a bit at first but then picks up speed. Yoshimi and Shijimori are trailing behind her, exhausted and gasping for breath. Yoshimi can't help but wonder how she got so fast. Did she really learn to ride that quickly? Then it hits him. She'd been taking it easy on him earlier, and he completely missed it. She's actually super athletic. Shijimori nods in agreement and adds that Hikaru is not just good at sports, she's good at everything. By the time she was 10, she had already mastered 5 languages, been invited to Mensa, and maintained top grades. She can play any instrument, kids and animals love her like a Disney princess, and on top of everything, she's quick and ridiculously lucky. As they try to catch up, he notes that while the physical distance hasn't changed, the social gap keeps growing. It's all too much for him, so he asks for a pause, feeling overwhelmed. Shijimori then states that Hikaru only wanted to understand him better, but he shut her out without thinking. She asks what was going through his mind. Yoshimi responds with quiet frustration, reminding her that he's not exactly popular. He worries that if Hikaru gets too far ahead, there's no way they can catch up. Just then, they see her spinning around like a top. Yoshimi sighs and admits he had a feeling they were just going in circles. Shijimori reflects on how this might be one of the first times Hikaru has faced rejection. She ran away because she didn't know how to deal with it, but now it seems like she's unsure about where to go. Yoshimi likens her to a car without a destination. Finally, he seizes the chance to reach out and calls out that he's worried about the pedestrians, but mostly about her. He asks her to come back. Hikaru looks at him and quietly wonders where she should go. He shrugs and says if not school, then maybe home. Later, Yoshimi turns and stops dead in his tracks. In front of him stands a huge estate, or more of a castle than a house. A maid greets her warmly at the entrance, and he suddenly feels like he should leave. He says he came along just to make sure she got home safe, and sticking around might get awkward. He mutters that her parents would probably be alarmed about why he's there, adding quietly that he's not even her boyfriend. But Hikaru calmly responds that her parents aren't home. He's taken aback. She explains that they usually aren't around because of work, and she hasn't seen them in ages. As Yoshimi steps into the grand home, she voices the fact that the last time she saw her parents was in elementary school. He realizes she's been alone for most of her life and doesn't know how to reach out for connection. She tells him what drew her to him. That morning of the school entrance ceremony, she saw him from behind with his parents fussing over him, and it looked so warm and fun. Yoshimi is surprised because, in reality, he was arguing with his parents, insisting he could handle the ceremony on his own. But even with that, she found something to admire. Hikaru admits that she probably admired him. Being alone is normal for her, but seeing him made her think it might be nice to share little moments and warmth with someone. The more she learns about him, the more she starts to daydream. It is a little embarrassing for her, but she cannot help it. She then recalls telling Shijimori she wanted a family like Yoshimi's. After a moment of thought, she suddenly suggests they get married. Everything suddenly makes sense to Yoshimi. He finally realizes that it all began with Shijimori, who planted the idea in Hikaru's mind. Standing nearby, Shijimori gives a quiet and awkward apology. Yoshimi quietly wonders if she truly wants a family like his. From his perspective, there's nothing special about it, just an ordinary dad and a typical mom. But Hikaru flashes a bright smile, insisting that normal doesn't even scratch the surface of who he and his family are. He's living proof of that. Even after rejecting her, he still went out of his way to care for her. That alone should be enough to show he has become a kind person. Yoshimi just shrugs, not buying the compliments. He mumbles that his family doesn't deserve all that praise. His mom's always angry like a demon, and his dad is so unreliable his mom's constantly threatening to divorce him. He acknowledges he's picked up some of those flaws too. Shijimori watches quietly, thinking he didn't need to drag his parents into this. Maybe he just isn't used to getting compliments. Then Yoshimi points out that if anyone's caring, it's Shijimori. She definitely cares the most about Hikaru. But Hikaru calmly responds that a chaperone's job is to take care of their master, so that's just how it is. Plus, if Yoshimi feels such a gap between their worlds, that just proves her point. What he thinks is normal is anything but her normal. Yoshimi gives an example and says he sees himself as a dull guy with average grades, no talent in sports, a negative mindset, and a gloomy face behind thick glasses. He cringes at how harsh that sounds, but she just smiles and tells him that no matter what he thinks, she still sees him as the most wonderful guy. Yoshimi fumbles for a comeback, but Hikaru walks over to the terrace. Her voice softens as she admits that this is all because of her own selfishness. It's time to bring things to a close. Then, without hesitation, she opens the ring box, lifts the ring, and tosses it into the air in front of Yoshimi and Shijimori. Yoshimi instantly springs into action, leaping onto the edge of the terrace and snatching the ring out of the air like a secret agent. Hanging on for dear life, he wonders why he's even doing this. This ring has only caused chaos. Maybe it's because she was honest with him. Maybe her determination to marry him is oddly charming now. Or maybe he just feels sorry for her. Still holding the ring, he lets out a sigh. Then Shijimori shouts a warning that he's about to fall. And sure enough, with zero balance, Yoshimi loses his footing and goes tumbling off the terrace. Hikaru screams, freaked out, but instead of a disaster, there's a loud splash. He lands right in the pool below. Thank goodness there was one under the terrace after all. Yoshimi pops up, coughing but still holding onto the ring. The others let out a sigh of relief. Hikaru asks why he did that. Even though he manages to save the ring, he still is not ready to accept her proposal. Yoshimi looks at the ring unsure of what to say. The truth is he does not really know how he feels. But one thing is clear to him. It is far too early for them to be talking about marriage. Hikaru stands quietly, unable to find any words. Then Yoshimi looks up at her, his voice calmer now. He suggests that instead of rushing into something they're not ready for, they should start with something easier. He meets her eyes, full of kindness, and suggests they give dating a shot first. Panic sets in as he thinks he's messed things up again. He questions why he suggested dating someone like Hikaru. Regret hits fast, and he quietly mutters an apology. But just as he's about to say more, her eyes are brimming with tears. That completely catches him off guard. She starts getting louder, accusing him of not being truthful with her. She insists that he's really into her, and he must be. He just freezes. It's hard to tell if she's mad or heartbroken, and then she starts crying. Standing there, he's shocked. Hikaru, usually so radiant and put together, is breaking down right in front of him. When he turned her down earlier, she didn't even shed a tear. He always saw her as this strong-willed girl, but now, remembering how she once respected him, he wonders if she's just better at hiding her feelings than most people. He digs into his pocket and offers her a handkerchief. She takes it, still shaking, her eyes focused on him. He stutters that it's just a regular handkerchief, nothing fancy, and it's totally cool if she doesn't want to use it. Hikaru smiles gently and thanks him. She holds the handkerchief tightly, and with a hint of her usual confidence returning, she asks if this means he has finally acknowledged her. She beams, convinced her instincts were right all along. Yoshimi feels relieved. She's starting to regain her old self. Hikaru promises to wash the handkerchief and return it. He insists it's really not that big of a deal, but she shakes her head, saying even borrowing something of his, no matter how small, makes her truly happy. She wants to hold on to it just a bit longer. Yoshimi starts sweating as he watches this girl, who could get anyone in the world, genuinely light up over a cheap handkerchief. He never thought someone from the top tier could feel so relatable. And in that moment, he realizes something pretty simple yet deep. Maybe they're not so different after all. Maybe, at the end of the day, everyone's just human. Suddenly, something catches his attention. He turns to see an orchestra playing nearby. Turns out, Hikaru hired them to perform whenever the vibe is just right. Seeing this makes Yoshimi burst out laughing, and he takes back everything he thought before. Then, a heavy chest full of gold ingots lands on a table, and Tamao is standing there with wide eyes, saying that for eyes Yoshimi is crying. Seeing Hikaru cry makes her tense, and she yells out in shock, asking if this is really happening. Are they actually dating now? Her friends show up too, holding a teddy bear decorated with flowers. Yoshimi wonders if they came to apologize for barging into class earlier. The girls whisper among themselves, surprised that he didn't back down. Despite turning her down at first, he actually threw out the idea of dating. Such boldness leaves them speechless. One of them nervously asks Tamao what they should do now. Tamao cuts in and says that if Four Eyes is dating Hikaru, it means both of them are now at the top of the social ladder. The weight of that realization hits hard, sinking in that their own status just dropped to the bottom. Not everyone's ready to accept this. Some girls laugh it off, thinking it's a joke. But Tamao takes it seriously. She imagines Yoshimi telling her to step aside, since she's no better than him now. With a clenched jaw, she vows to never acknowledge their relationship. As things settle, one truth stands out. One person's happiness can mean another's frustration. An unbalanced relationship has begun, and tough times lie ahead. Finally, Hikaru can't hold it in any longer. Grinning from ear to ear, she happily announces that she's officially Yoshimi's girlfriend. And he's her boyfriend. Beaming, she says this means they're one step closer to marriage and starting a family. Yoshimi, a bit overwhelmed, tries to slow things down, suggesting they not rush. They sit quietly on the sofa to savor the moment. Shujimori coolly pulls out a legal document, explaining that it outlines what their relationship means and asks them to sign it. She goes over what's typical when moving from dating to engagement, which includes details about breaking the rules and individual responsibilities. Yoshimi feels a bit cornered. He wonders if this is really how relationships kick off. He tells her he can't be locked into a legal contract like this, trying hard to avoid jumping into something that feels way too serious. This isn't what he thought being in a relationship was about. Hikaru looks confused. She thinks that when a couple starts dating, signing something is just a safety net, like naming a guardian in a will. He tries to explain that there's a big difference between that and marriage. She then asks what normal couples usually do. The scene shifts to Hikaru as she proudly shares how the relationship began. Yoshimi suggested they start by going on a date. Her friends, sounding a bit monotone, offered their support. K4 agrees to back her up completely. She turns to the group, looking for their help. Tawa and Narumi mumble half-hearted replies. Tawa checks in on Tamao, asking if she's okay. She replies that she felt the need to say something to show support. Toa whispers that if things keep going this way, Yoshimi will be socially above them all, but Tamao is unbothered and sees it as a chance. She explains that their school is all girls and most haven't had much experience with guys. Hikaru, despite being popular, has no clue how to interact with a guy properly. She totally lacks the basics about dating and relationships. Tamao suggests they act like they're supporting her while secretly guiding her dating choices. Toa and Narumi call her sneaky, but she prefers the label tactician. They ask Hikaru if she's got anything planned for the first date. Innocently, Hikaru admits she hasn't thought about it yet. They haven't even decided where to go. Tamao smirks and leans in close, saying that love favors the brave and she's got everything covered. Out of nowhere, they whip out a bunch of bold outfits and even make Hikaru try one on. She's confused, saying the outfit feels really breezy. Tawa can't believe her eyes, seeing Hikaru in something so revealing. Tamao just grins, thinking about how the usually proper Hikaru now looks so daring. She muses that all it takes is saying it's for her guy, and Hikaru is totally love-struck. Still unsure, Hikaru asks how this is supposed to make her date better. Tawa laughs, claiming these are her lucky undergarments. Hikaru's shocked by that idea of luck. The others tease her more, telling her she should worry about that breeze hitting her backside. Innocently, Hikaru wonders if this is really what girls wear on a first date since she feels way too exposed. Tamao assures her that guys love it when their girlfriends rock such outfits. She even hints that Yoshimi had a thing for her before they got serious, trying to plant some doubt. Tamao throws in that if Hikaru can't meet her boyfriend's expectations, she's failing in her role. She warns that if their relationship goes south because of this, it'll be Hikaru's fault. Feeling tense and shocked, Hikaru insists she can't let that happen. Then they drop a twist, saying that guys lose interest if a girl puts on pressure on the first date. While they laugh over their clever plan, Hikaru still isn't so sure. She wonders if this is really what girls should wear on a first date. Still feeling uneasy, she grabs her phone and dials up Yoshimi. The girls freak out, telling her not to call, but it's too late. Hikaru greets him and asks a question. Everyone watches in horror. She calmly inquires about his favorite color, mentioning she has black and white with her right now, but doesn't say what she's asking about. When Yoshimi says red, she's taken aback and secretly admires his bold choice. He asks why she's curious, and she just replies that she was wondering. Tamao is super excited now. Red is so daring, she says, and the others start thinking their plan might actually be working. They question if they're accidentally helping the couple instead of messing things up. In the end, one thing is clear. Despite all their plotting, everyone involved is just a bunch of clueless romantics caught up in a love story they don't really get. A date is basically a fun romantic hangout meant to bring two people closer together. Up until now, Yoshimi has never actually gone on a date. The only girls he recognizes in casual clothes are those he sees at the supermarket. Even after stressing about his outfit, he ends up looking pretty plain. There are tons of people around, and he's hoping to spot her in the crowd. But he's relieved to see that she stands out so much that he doesn't even need to search for her. When she arrives, he can't figure out the right moment to call out to her since she's getting so much attention. All he can think to say is how beautiful she is. She seems more energized than usual, and Yoshimi feels like if he stands next to her, he might just turn to ashes from her incredible glow. Some folks find it tough to approach her because of her vibe, but when she spots our guy, her whole face lights up. She rushes over, laughing and totally happy. Meanwhile, he's struggling to keep it together in the glow of her energy. As they make their way to the cinema and buy tickets, he can't shake the thought that even though they're a couple, he still feels pretty shy about chatting with her. She's kind of surprised they're watching a movie. He asks if she doesn't like films, and she quickly says she loves them. But she's also a bit uncomfortable with what her friends put in her mind. She figured they'd just chill somewhere quiet for their first date. When she questions what he plans to do in a cinema, he just says they're there to watch a movie and looks really confused. Meanwhile, she might be thinking something totally different. Now he's wondering what she meant by a quiet place, or if she's expecting something more fancy. With that in mind, he calls out to her, suggesting they head to a quiet spot, which boosts her confidence right away. So our nice guy takes her to an art gallery, and he feels pretty relieved about that. He points out that it's way quieter than anywhere else around, and kind of wonders if a culture lover like her will dig it. Meanwhile, she's a bit bummed out. He checks in with her, asking if she's okay. Her mind is occupied with what Tamao said, that if things go south, it might be Hikaru's fault. So she calls out to him, wondering if maybe she just isn't charming enough for him. He's totally confused and asks what she even means by charm. Meanwhile, the minions are shocked to see the young lady actually losing her glow and confidence. They're ready to step in because she's pulling in way more attention than anything else around her. Her confidence and spirit are really taking a hit, and he's just so confused about how the most confident person could suddenly feel this way. She ends up apologizing for her ridiculous behavior, saying it's her fault if things start getting kind of steamy during the date. But then she catches herself and realizes what she just blurted out about things getting steamy. The minions are a bit worried they haven't given Hikaru enough praise today. Shijimori tells them to shower her with compliments from head to toe so she can feel better about herself. They start tossing compliments her way, and she lets out a sigh of relief, knowing she does look good. The minions really go all out with their flattery, but deep down she feels it doesn't mean much unless it impresses the guy she likes. To make things worse, she blurts out that she's wearing her lucky undergarment, which she thinks might have messed things up on their first date. But our lad just tells her to hang on a sec. He's saying she went out of her way, but honestly, that's just the bare minimum. It's a lot of work for someone as boring as him. He's wasted a ton of time planning this date, but it's turned out pretty dull. He keeps wondering where they could go to have a good time and how to make her smile. He even admits that he's thought about some wild stuff, but he just can't concentrate because his mind is all over the place with everything else. He tells her she's super charming, but she apologizes, saying she didn't catch what he said. He repeats that she's really charming and shining brighter than ever. He adds that the most important thing is their dating, which makes him feel her charm. That kind of vibe from him lights her up, and she starts glowing with confidence. She tries to play it cool, acting like there's no way he hasn't noticed her charm. Then she leans in, saying she thinks she should take the lead and asks if it's cool to hold hands. So he reaches out, and they finally grab each other's hands. He can't believe they're actually holding hands now, and it feels warm too. On the other side, she's totally blushing and freaking out. She goes to an all-girls school and has never touched a guy's hand before. He's impressed by her guts. She says they're finally holding hands and hints that more might come soon, but he replies that those things will take time. Then she suggests they go somewhere else to keep their date going, saying how great she is as a girlfriend. Out of the blue, she proposes to him, and he prepares himself for their differences. But first he needs to see if they have anything in common. Then all of a sudden she trips and falls. Seeing that totally throws him off, and he's just left speechless. After their date, he heads home and sits down for dinner with his parents. After that, he hops in the bath, but he can't shake off one thing from his mind. He's still in shock that a noble lady would wear something so revealing. He totally thought she'd have something that covered more skin, and his imagination is running wild. Not only that, but he didn't expect such a bold move on their first date, and he can't stop thinking about her saying she'd want to have a kid. Hikaru pops up again, calling out to him outside his house. He slides the door open and asks what she's doing there in her pajamas. She says she just really wanted to see him and can't help it. When she runs into his parents, she quickly apologizes for popping by so late. It hasn't even been 5 hours since their date, and already she's back. He can't shake the thought that she's always been in an all-girls school and hasn't even held a guy's hand before. But then he starts wondering if they're really talking about Hikaru, who seems to manage everything effortlessly. He's thinking about following her lead. He's totally freaked out about getting married right after they turn 18. He's even more worried that she might want to have a whole bunch of kids, like a football team's worth. When he hears that, he freaks out and shouts that 11 kids would be way too many. She just looks at him like he's lost, not even sure what he's talking about. Then she comes over to apologize for accidentally showing off her lucky undergarments, thinking it might have been too much for someone as pure-hearted as Yoshimi. This leaves both their parents and him completely stunned. She says it feels like his mind is miles away while his body's right here. She can't just leave him with all that baggage. He starts tearing up and says she doesn't get how lucky she is to be dating him. She shrugs and admits it is pretty revealing, then asks what he's into. If he shares what he likes, she figures she can be the girlfriend of his dreams. Meanwhile, her parents are checking out his not-so-great fashion choices, and he tells them to chill out. He's really grateful she cares about what he likes, but thanks to his folks, he doesn't have a lot of options. She picks up on the hint that he wants to get out of there, just the two of them. He quickly says that anything works for him. While trying to decide, he thinks about picking something later, but she catches on that he's really just saying everything looks great on her. Flattered, she lights up and confidently states that everything looks good on her. Then she playfully orders 10 sets. Another day rolls around, and our boy hangs out with Hikaru. Meanwhile, the K4 girls are snooping on them from the bushes, and Tamao is getting super jealous because he's acting all cool and confident. She still thinks he's just a useless Tagalog. She thought her plan would work, but it actually brought them even closer. Then Narumi jumps in, saying it's her turn to give it a shot. She points out that Tamao's plan looked good on paper, but the execution was off. Tamao asks what she means by poor execution and wonders if she could have said it nicer, especially since he's still Hikaru's boyfriend. But Narumi argues she would have gone for a simpler approach. She starts talking about her Daoshin crew, the folks her parents employ. Those minions are really hyping her up, and now she's all fired up to break our boy Yoshimi. Tamao can't help but think this whole mafia vibe is just messed up. Even manga has its limits, right? But Narumi chimes in, saying it's not just about her company's staff, it's just getting way more intense. She mentions it's hard to tell if they're glancing or glaring. Then she tells everyone to watch the pros work. She lays out the plan. First, they got to distract Hikaru. Once they got him sidetracked, they'll throw him into a bus and grab him right away. He'll be totally lost about what's happening, and the goons just threaten him. They drag him to this warehouse, and then he's let go right in front of Narumi. She basically tells him they're gonna fight. He can't help but think how weird things always get when he's with Hikaru. He figures out she's one of Hikaru's friends, Narumi, and asks why she wants to throw down. But she brings up the rules. Whoever hits the ground first loses, and if he loses, he has to break up with Hikaru. Just like that, no big deal, but he's confused, thinking it can't be that easy. He points out that she's a girl, and he's not keen on getting into a boxing match with her. She snaps at him, asking if he's really trying to say she's too cute for him to hit. He just says she never listens. He points out that breaking up with Hikaru isn't something they can decide for her. Then he mentions how those girls are always so confident, they end up bullying others. She tells him to quit saying annoying stuff and to speak in proper Japanese. He insists he is, though. After that, she suggests letting her punch him, but he's not up for it. She pushes him to break up with Hikaru, but he says there's no way he can do that. She thought he'd be slow, but he's actually pretty quick. She asks if he's running away, and he says that's just how it goes in this kind of situation. Meanwhile, the minions are all hyped up, telling her to punch and kick him. My dude is seriously bolting, and Narumi keeps yelling at him to fight back properly. This goes on for like an hour. Then Narumi suggests he should just get on his knees and admit he lost. But out of nowhere, she slips and ends up getting slammed onto the floor. She's totally stunned, starts crying, saying there must be some mistake, and it can't be over yet. Then she cries even more, taking back what she said and wanting to make it a best out of 3. Our lad just asks if this is how she usually acts when she loses.